Hello, welcome back to TheSadFan, where we talk about the good, bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week in sports. Thank you so much for joining us again, and we're going to start where we usually start. What made us sad? And what kind of makes me sad is that the room has a very loud echo now. As you can see, we are moving on. We are taking our services over to Germany, where we will continue to bring you a great show every single week. But for the next couple weeks, it is going to be a little bit off as far as the sound is concerned. So in the show we're going to bring you today, we're going to start off, like I said, with what made us sad. And what makes us sad this week, outside of what I just said, is definitely that we are still fixated on Antonio Brown. So this week in Florida, Antonio Brown was robbed or reportedly mugged for his jewelry. And in this case, he took out a gun and fired shots into the air. And in his words, it was to deter those that were robbing him. But in all honesty, why do we care anymore? Like, this guy is a train wreck. He's been a train wreck for quite some time. Since he went to the Raiders, really. Since he was traded to the Raiders, he has been a miserable piece of shit. And we're still fixated on somebody because he gets clicks and likes. And at some point, we have to stop making losers famous. And that's exactly what we're doing with Antonio Brown. Like, he was great when he played for the Steelers. He could have been one of the best wide receivers ever. But he let his crazy out. He let us in. And, I guess in some places we ask for that, and in others, maybe you should be smarter and know yourself a little bit better, because once you let the public into your private life, they're there to stay. And all this guy has shown us is that he's an idiot. That's it. That he doesn't pay his bills, that he didn't pay his arena football league team, that he is a terrible person as it pertains to women. He's just an awful human being. And for some reason, he's still being covered. Because if it was anybody else, odds are there'd be zero coverage. No one would care. We would move on, and that says a lot about where we're at with society today. But at the end of the day, we are continuously making Antonio Brown famous for the most ridiculous reasons ever. And in this case, it's just something that he did that was stupid again. And here we are, putting himself in terrible situations where terrible things happen, where we don't really know what the truth is, and we have to take Antonio Brown's word for it. And if there's anybody's words that I don't want to take for truth, it's Antonio Brown, a complete lunatic loser who only exists here now on social media because we allow it. I think it's time for us to cut Antonio Brown's fame off at the knees and just say, hey, we're not going to follow him. You can keep posting this, but we're not going to click. We're not going to acknowledge this. And we're not going to utilize this to boost ourselves. So that's what makes me sad, is that we're still in a place where we are doing things like that with a character like Antonio Brown or Deshaun Watson, who was making news this week because he got put to sleep for a back tattoo that has an empty Super Bowl ring. I got news for Deshaun Watson. He's never winning a Super Bowl, and he's never going to play a game for a team that has the potential to win a Super Bowl. His career is over. He had a chance, which he should have never gotten, in Cleveland to prove that he was something that he is no longer, which is a great quarterback, and he should have never been given that chance based on what he did, allegedly. So he is now making news for tattoos on his back. So I hope that's something that makes him happy and proud as to this is where his career has come to. He deserves nothing more than this, and in fact, all he deserves is less than this. Let's get to another story. We've got two stories that made us sad this week. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark met up for Game 1 in the WNBA Chicago Sky against the Indiana Fever. Indiana Fever. Let's start with them. This is going to be a team to contend with moving forward. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston have found their chemistry. They've got a revamped squad around them and a coach that is going to coach them the way this team needs to be coached. So this team is going to be a team that will contend. Quick side note, Aces got beat up in their first game against the New York Liberty, the defending champions. So that one really hurt to watch. Now, let's get to what made us sad. We couldn't just enjoy an amazing game, a great game between these two teams, between these two great players. we had to get locked up in the drama, of which there was very little. They wanted to say that this game was chippy. They wanted to say that things happened and we need to tune in because of the not the athletes playing amazing, but the drama. So of course I got clickbait. I think all of us got clickbaited, including that loser, Robert Griffin III, who always wants to find a way to get clicks. This guy is ridiculous. But anyway, I'm really happy that Ryan Clark, decided to kind of lay into RG3 because he read between the lines as well. And we're all sick of you, RG3. You're a loser, and all you're doing is trying to perpetuate things and then backpedal and say, "I'm not trying to perpetuate hate. Why can't we?" You're an idiot. You're a loser. But let's get off this as he gets me off track because RG3 is one of the most irritating personalities that for some reason, like Antonio Brown, is famous. Of course, nowhere on the level of shame as Antonio Brown. We're not going to put that on RG3. He's just ridiculous and has no opinion. He's an opinionless loser. But there was a foul, and it was called a hard foul. And Angel Reese treated it like it was a hard foul. And I watched it several times, and there's several aspects of this, but honestly, I've seen this a million times through every level of sports. You can't just give Angel Reese an open path to lay it in there and get those 2 points. Caitlin Clark did exactly what every athlete on that court is coached to do, which is if you're not somebody that's going to be able to stop that shot, foul, make her earn it at the free throw line, and she did that. It wasn't a hard foul. She simply wrapped her up. That was it. It was a player wrapping up another player, and that's what we got a huge reaction out of for no reason. Really, we got a huge reaction out of it because Angel Reese gave us a huge reaction. If you watch it and you're a fan of the sport, it's much ado about nothing. It's a big nothing burger that everybody's reacting to because of the two athletes involved and because of what they bring to the table when they play one another, because that rivalry going all the way back to LSU Iowa, the old Angel Reese pointing to her ring finger. And now Caitlin Clark has the upper hand. It looks like the Indiana Fever are better than the Chicago Sky, and they're going to let the Chicago Sky know it every single time they play. They are determined to continue to put up points on this team, and this is not the first time it's been like this. This team plays them. There's a lot of shithousery, to use a phrase that's used over here as far as English football is concerned, that goes on every time these two teams play against one another. So if the Indiana Fever are going to put it on them, let them put it on them. Let's not turn this into something it's not. Let's not turn it into some type of stupid war between two different cultures and say these two players, it all rides on their shoulders. No, it was a basketball play that Angel Reese took exception to, that she shouldn't have taken exception to, because prior to Caitlin Clark wrapping her up, she pushed a player to the floor to get the rebound. So let's not get ridiculous about what is actually happening here. It is the media painting narratives that do not exist when these two go in. It is a rivalry. It is a heated rivalry. But RG3, shut up with your "it's hate." You're a loser, and you're just trying to perpetuate hate. And we don't need that in this game. We need to respect these athletes for who they are and the product that they put on the court every single time they play one another. And it's fireworks. And we enjoy the fireworks. And we're so happy that we have an opportunity to live in this day and age where we get to watch these two play for 10 to 15 years moving forward. Just respect that. The NFL schedule release. We finally had the NFL schedule release this week, and it is a party. It's one of those events. Well, it's one of those items that the NFL does now that garners attention away from other sports that has become an event. Now, I remember in high school, you get together, high school, grade school, I guess being an adult, all the way up. I don't really do this anymore, but you'd get together with everybody and you do wins and losses. You'd start to think about where your team was going to be. And if you're a loser franchise, like my franchise has been for the last, since Super Bowl in 2002, so 23 years, you just kind of figure, okay, who are the best players in college? Where can we land as far as a draft pick is concerned? But most of us get together and do wins and losses. And of course, most fans are going to inflate their wins. They always do. And they're going to get mad at the fans that don't inflate their wins. And they also release all of the overseas games this year. And that is something to look forward to for someone like me who is overseas. I think a lot of times when we talk about these overseas games with the mainstream sports media in America, they like to say dumb shit. Like, why do we send games there? These people don't matter. They don't like the sport. They don't want the sport. And it's one of the most irritating things ever because, one, in living over here, they absolutely, absolutely love the sport. In fact, the games sell out incredibly quickly. And then you also have a large contingency of Americans that are stationed overseas or work overseas, that this is their one opportunity to see their favorite teams play. And too many take that for granted. You try to hoard these things as if they're just yours. No, these sports are for everybody. I loved that slogan when they did it, even though it's ridiculous and you're just playing into stereotypes and it's a big marketing campaign, but it's the truth. Sports are for everybody, and we should want to grow the game. The NFL is about profitability, and what they're doing and expanding their game to overseas locations is they're giving everybody an opportunity to see this sport, to see how great it is, and to grow their revenue year over year. There's nothing wrong with that happening, and people need to get over this whole, this is mine, stop taking it overseas. Why does my team always lose a game? Well, your team always loses a game because you're the Jaguars, and you're owned by Shad Khan, who has investments in England. So he has a reason to bring the team over here. Plus, those are the times when that team sells out stadiums. But this year, we've got games also in Spain, and we've got games in Germany. And now that I'm moving to Germany, I am extremely frustrated because who the hell wants to watch the Falcons play the Colts when both teams are just playing for a draft pick spot? Why is that something that we're dealing with? And we're sending them overseas because, they're terrible. And that's not fair to Germany. You should not be doing that to Berlin. It is ridiculous to send the Atlanta Falcons and the Indianapolis Colts overseas. And here we are. We have those two teams who will not be contending for anything except for a draft pick. So that's really sad for me. I hope that I go to this game. We'll see if I can get out to it and bring you guys some live coverage from the game. Hopefully put up some posts from walking around talking to people about what they're doing at the game and why they enjoy American football and why these stadiums sell out every time it goes. But I will say, again, the game in Spain is one of the ones that I'm very interested in, and that is the Dolphins against the Commanders. In that game, I don't get the connection that we have there with the Commanders in Spain or the Dolphins in Spain, but I know the NFL has these test markets, and they've run all kind of simulations and data to show where these teams are popular. And apparently, the Miami Dolphins are the most popular NFL team in Spain. So they're sending the Dolphins over there to see if we can get some I guess, some fans in Spain to watch the NFL. But I will say this, the stadium in Madrid, the stadiums in Madrid are all beautiful, but where they will be playing is a beautiful stadium. It's a beautiful venue. It's going to be an insane crowd. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of passion in that game, and we're excited to see it. That game actually does have playoff implications. So that one is one that should be competitive. They should be sending Spain a very exciting, high-flying game that will be something that everybody wants to tune in for, everybody wants to watch, and we're here for it. Send the good games to Europe. Not all of them, but, there's only a few games on the slate that go overseas, so why not send a good game over like a Dolphins against the Commanders? So that should be a lot of fun. We're really excited for it over here at TheSadFan. I hope you guys can wrap your head around being excited for some of these games as well. And if for any reason, look at it like this, be selfish. On the weeks that we have football over in Spain, you literally get to you get to wake up, football. You get to fix yourself breakfast, football. You get to chill out for an hour, watch some coverage, football comes on. Then you have football all the way through Sunday night football. That's a pretty awesome Sunday if you think about it. Football from morning all the way till bedtime whenever you have these NFL Europe games going on. Let's talk about the schedule release really quick and just one thing. The Indianapolis Colts pulled their schedule release video because it depicted the Coast Guard arresting Tyreek Hill in the form of a dolphin. Are we really that sensitive right now? And Tyreek Hill posted something that says, "I don't think they should have pulled it. I thought that shit was funny." And good for him for having a sense of humor there. Also, not really going to say that this is one of the best human beings on earth, because it's not, but at least he had a good attitude about that video. And can we stop being so damn sensitive to things that are kind of silly like that? It was a dolphin wearing a Tyreek Hill jersey. It was a dolphin wearing a Tyreek Hill jersey. It was the Coast Guard. You can't put flippers in handcuffs. Grow up. They should have left it up. All right, so the final round before the final round of the NBA playoffs is here. And wow, did the Nuggets get blown off the court in Game 7 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we are one step closer to what the NBA fears, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Indiana Pacers. I don't know if the Knicks can keep up the magic that led them to the victory in the series over the Boston Celtics. Thoughts and hopes with Jason Tatum. Hopefully he can come back fast from this Achilles injury. But that's a terrible injury to have at this point in his career. And you don't want to see something like that happen to, albeit a boring player, but a great player. Jason Tatum is a great player. You don't want to see someone go down with an injury like he did. He's really, if you think about it, the Boston Celtics plans are probably ruined for the next 2 years at this point, because a lot of their plans centered around a player like Jason Tatum, not a player like Jason Tatum. They centered around Jason Tatum. And he's not going to be there. And this injury is going to take a long time to rehab from. He needs to make sure he is good to come back, and he needs to make sure that he's right, because he's a big guy and he's going to be playing and people are going to be going after him. But the New York Knicks, do they have enough to take on the Indiana Pacers? Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam. This team is stacked, and Carlisle has them humming. I mean, they are literally killing it. They crushed what was the number 2 team in the NBA all season long in the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they're out for blood. It seems the Indiana Pacers, now back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, are ready to take that next step. And Tyrese Halliburton feels disrespected. I mean, when they finally revealed how many players, I think it was 12 players, voted that he wasn't an all-star player. So if 12 players, 12 of your peers don't like you, I guess that's 12 people to hold a grudge against. And if that is what is powering him, then let it keep powering him, because he's been insane. But why do I say that this is the matchup the NBA does not want to see? Because this is a matchup that the casual fan cannot get behind. The Knicks would be a great story. I think the casual fans could get behind the Knicks. They have a small superstar in Jalen Brunson that really is what drew so many people to Steph Curry. It's someone that you look at and say, oh, maybe I can be like that, when you see somebody that's not one of the giants out there getting it done and winning games in the last moments of the game. A clutch player like Jalen Brunson can bring people to the screen, but I don't think that the New York Knicks have enough. And again, I'll say it again. Weeks ago, I said, when Tyrese Halliburton gets healthy, watch out for the Indiana Pacers. And here they are in the Eastern Conference Finals against a team that they are better than. They are better than the New York Knicks. You may not want to hear that, but that is the truth. So we may have the Indiana Pacers against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I'm not giving Minnesota a chance. Not even a sniff at beating the Oklahoma City Thunder. That team is too good. It's too well-rounded. It's too awesome on defense. It has too many stars for this team in Minnesota to keep up with. You've got an aging Rudy Gobert. You've got Naz Reid, and you've got Anthony Edwards, and that's really it that you're attacking the best team in the NBA with. And there's just no shot. This could be the year that the Oklahoma City Thunder finally win their championship. And it's just crazy that it's with Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and not Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. That is hard to fathom. It's hard to understand that that's where we're at, that this is the team that took out the best player in the NBA in Jokic and is now going to win the NBA Finals and could be a team to contend with for years to come. and they're out of Oklahoma City. And they don't have Kevin Durant, and they don't have Russell Westbrook, and they don't have James Harden. It's just an insane thing for us all to take in. Last thing we want to say is congratulations to the champion Florida Panthers, getting it done like a champion does, winning again against the Toronto Maple Leafs 6-1. It's crazy because Austin Matthews could be the best U.S. hockey player that we have. You could say Matthew Tkachuk on the other side is actually the best U.S. hockey player. There's an argument to be had there, but it's insane to me that the Toronto Maple Leafs, year after year after year, are a team that cannot get over the hump. And the hump is the Florida Panthers, and the Florida Panthers did it to them again. 2 years in a row, destruction against the Toronto Maple Leafs and destruction to the hearts of all the fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That has been the Sad Fan. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.
Back to the block, I'm scamming. Back in the shop, I'm scamming. Get it off a dummy, I'm scamming.